onefootflipper.
Hey, how's everybody doing today? Paige here, the 1 Foot Flipper. And I have been listing almost nothing the last few days. I've decided to concentrate on trying to clean up my areas and my business and my store. Luckily, my stores, or at least my main store, is large enough that I can not list anything for a little while and it won't affect my sales all that much because there's still 15, 16,000 items to pick from and they continue to sell on a daily basis even if I'm not listing anything. And secondly, I don't need to have any sales any particular day or week. Not that I've ever have a no sale day. I haven't had a no sale day in 2 years. But I could make nothing for a couple of months and be just fine. So I've been concentrating on cleaning up my areas and getting rid of things I don't want. I've got almost all the bulk magic cards out of here. Viewer Chad bought most of them over the weekend. He's going to come back today and buy most of the rest of the bulk ones because I had three huge 15,000 count boxes that had been sitting there for 8 years or so, and I hadn't really looked through. And I at least had to look through them first before I give him a smoking deal on them. He's going to do really well with those since I sold them to him at the same $3 bulk rate the card store pays for them. So he's going to get to look through all of them, pull out everything of value, and then move them right onto the card store. But Chad's been a great friend for a long time, so I don't mind giving him the deal. Matter of fact, some of my areas were so messy, I spent 4 hours cleaning my desk surfaces yesterday. Now, I say surfaces because I've got a big L-shaped desk within a shelf 6 inches above it that goes all the way around the L, so there's things on the shelf, under the shelf, and then there's just shelves. Then above the 3 monitors, there's more shelves going all the way up. And it took 4 hours to clean that off and go through all that stuff. Selling cards is a messy business. It just creates all this detritus everywhere. Bad cards, card sleeves, card accessories. And that's why I'm so glad that I am niching out of that. I'll still be selling them for years, but since I won't be listing them anymore, it won't be making the messes anymore. Speaking of cards, I had a viewer sale. Yaroslav, I hope I pronounced that right. He bought multiple Illuminati collectible card game cards. He's bought 5 of them, but he's talking about buying more of them. Illuminati's a great set of cards because they're extremely rare. It was one of those very early card games that came out right after Magic the Gathering, made by Steve Jackson Games, and it's one of the few really early ones that has any following still. They haven't made these cards in, 25 years or more, but there's still a following. Every single one of them is sellable as a single, so it's one of my favorite types of cards. You're probably not going to see them anywhere. I mean, there's only probably 3 or 4 people on eBay selling singles of them, including me. But if you do see them, pick them up. And they're a complicated thing, though. You've got to learn how to tell the difference between the first edition cards and the unlimited edition cards, and that's a little bit difficult, but there's a big price swing among them. I sold Star Trek The Next Generation game for the Super Nintendo for $8.99. Also, normally don't like to mention the cards, but I sold another one of those Pokemon cards that I made a video for, a first edition Kangaskhan, sold for $45. I'd recommend those videos on those high-end cards, especially the shiny ones. Those have been moving really good for me since I did that. Also sold an Armada Basilia Abyss little boat set for $8.99, missing the bases, but I put that in the title. I like to put defects right in the title, and if the item is likely to have some sort of Timmy going after it, I put the defect first. Like, I have this radio that was in Stranger Things, apparently, that does not work. And I had to change my title on that thing to put broken as the first word in the title, and then does not work as the end of the title, because I've sold it twice to people who don't read the description, or how detailed I get in the description about how that radio doesn't work and how exactly it doesn't work, because I even took it apart to troubleshoot it. It's basically a prop where you're going to rebuild the thing, but still continues to pick up watchers on a daily basis. Hopefully it doesn't sell to anybody else who doesn't read anything. And that's another reason why I'm liking videos and listings, because the people who don't read, they do watch videos. All right, let's start to talk about what our topic is today. And that is, it's not just Funko Pops. We're going to talk about modern collectibles in general. Put Funko Pops as the title. Hey, Butt Stallion, she's magnificent. You have to be careful with modern collectibles because these things are basically commodities. As a seller of these things, you only have downside risk. If I've got this Butt Stallion up there on eBay for $24.99, let's say that's what it's worth, and the value goes up, I gain nothing. It sells instantly. But if the value goes down and I'm not paying attention, I can ride that value all the way down to nothing. And that's something that happened to a lot of Beanie Baby seller. You've got this one here, number one dad. And a lot of Beanie Baby sellers are still trying to get those 90s prices. There's a lady at the flea market every time I go who's got a huge Beanie Baby booth with 90s prices on everything. I've never seen her sell anything. She's not negotiable on anything. And you don't want to do that. You can ruin your business by riding prices all the way down. I rode prices down on Magic the Gathering and Pokemon cards. I used to think, oh, well, the old ones really only ever go up in value. They move a little bit down and up, but they generally just trend up. So I would just list my cards at whatever the database said the market value was and ignore them, figuring the rising tide lifts all boats. But it doesn't always. Instead, the COVID money ran out, and the whole collectible card market didn't crash, but it saw a huge downturn, and I lost thousands of dollars in value on these things because I wasn't paying attention to the market. So now, with modern collectibles, your Pops, your Magic cards, your Pokemon cards, I consider them to be commodities. There's always a whole bunch of any individual one available, and I want mine to sell first because I can only lose money on that item. Its value can only go down once it's listed because, like I said, if the value goes up, it's going to sell instantly, so I have no upside potential, only downside potential. And if I'm $2 too much on Butt Stallion here because I know what I got, the other ones will instead sell first, and they will continue to sell first. And if her value goes down, I can still be sitting there at 25 when she's worth 10, and then I've lost money on her. And that's an especially a danger for Funko Pops because, you know, you're not shipping one of these things for less than about $5.50. So the value can go down to the point on these where they're not worth shipping anymore. Now, do I think Funko Pops are going to crash today or tomorrow? No. Do I think they're the next Beanie Baby? Not quite, but they're close. What saves them in general is that everyone has some sort of crossover collectible potential, but most of the people who are buying these and collecting these are collecting Pops in general. They're not collecting singular types of Pops. They're not just collecting Funko Pops from the world of Borderlands like this one comes from. So those can crash eventually, or even a small downturn can cause you to lose a lot of value in your store if you're holding out for higher prices. Because generally, you generally have to pay up for good stuff like this. You're not finding a huge collection of Pops for $1 each. You're not spending $200 and buying 200 of them. That's not happening. I mean, you might find one for $1 at a garage sale, but you're not finding them 10, 20, 50 at a time at that price. Same thing with like good Magic cards, good Pokemon cards. Generally, you have to pay up on those. So You just want to price them right to move immediately. If I was to want to sell Butt Stallion here, I would go and look and see what's the cheapest Butt Stallion on eBay that has the case, because this has the little protector case. What's the cheapest one? And I would price mine 2 cents less so it would sell first. That way I don't have to think about it later. And then also in my collectibles like that, my modern collectibles, I will regularly go through and reduce the prices of all of them, all of my old listings, by 10% on those to try to catch up to any market downturns. Because if Butt Stallion hasn't sold in a couple of months, that's probably because her price went down. Because if I priced it best at the beginning and hasn't sold, the price has gone down. So I do price lowering to try to catch those price drops. Let's see, what else have we sold here? Sold 5 coverless Dragon magazines for $13.49. I did lose a couple bucks on the shipping at this. For some reason, I had my first class shipping rule attached to it and not my priority flat rate. So I threw a couple bucks away on that, but they were coverless magazines, so it's not too bad. Sold a Portobello teapot, nice little whistling kettle for $11.69. My wife and I could not agree over where we found this item. She thinks I found it someplace, and I think she found it someplace. Sold 3 sets of Force of Will decals, $4.99 each. I'm just going to show one of them. These are the little stickers that come in wargame models, and people will buy those separately. Sold a Monopoly Get Out of Jail card, 1936 copyright on it, blank back. Not sure the exact year because there were so many variations on those early Monopoly sets and so many differences, but it sold for $4.49. Sold a sealed VHS of Toy Story, $12.99. Not bad for a... Was it Disney yet, or was it just Pixar at that point? I don't know, but it's the clamshell style. Sold a Star Wars Finn First Order disguise with a bad box for $7. That's going international. I put bad box in the title. The box really isn't that bad, but it's got some damage to the back, and I don't want any returns on things like that. I sold a High Infidelity LP, $3.99. Not too great, but with the records, I just get into the zone and I take all my photos and videos and I just list them all and let them move out at whatever the market price seems to say they're worth. I know some people say making the videos of those cheap records isn't worthwhile, but I found it only adds 30-40 seconds to my listing. Less, really, because really I need to make sure the record plays right anyway before I sell it. And I sold one more record that I've actually got here in front of me. The Ventures, Walk, Don't Run. I have a little bit of a soft spot for instrumental surf rock type bands like this because my old roommate Cullen used to have a band called the Honkies, and they had a CD and a 7-inch in the late 90s, early 2000s, so got to see them a few times and hang out with them, so I've just got a soft spot for that type of music. Cullen, if you're watching, miss you, bro. And I think that's about all I've got for today. Thank you so much for watching. Hope to see you again soon.